Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Skills and Abilities. Sorry, my voice is still trying to recover. Today we're going to be going over the last of the three magical charge-up abilities known as Blades of Ice. Blades of Ice is the third of the single element charge-ups, and as long as you have a charge-up, because of the way that they've changed it, you are guaranteed to hit any of your finishers. So this is a new thing that they've added. The Blades of Ice skill is a very interesting one that is really very defensive in nature. It's definitely been the case as far as elemental damage goes, that lightning has been the higher end, like it's the top end damage. As you can see, it's much higher damage at 7,488, and the fire damage is much more in the middle with 4,600 to 5,000, and cold damage tends to be, more often than not, just kind of like the lower end of the scale. And it's really because cold damage tends to be more utilitarian than damaging. And not that you can't make a Blades of Ice damaging ability, because it does work pretty well. The thing is that it's not really for that. It's to freeze targets. It's to get them out of the way. And if you take a look at the ability, the first one that it does is it applies a cold damage effect, which is 2,732 to 2,925. Now this is a straight cold damage that is applied directly to the target that you're hitting. The second charge will cause a radius to happen. So instead of applying that damage directly to one target, it will now apply that damage to all the targets within the radius, which is, of course, very, very nice. The last charge doesn't actually add any damage at all. In fact, all it does is applies a freeze damage time to the effect. Now, this means that the last charge is not required. So, you know, a lot of these, the last charge usually applies some kind of damage, or it allows you to, for instance, with Fists of Fire, it causes a burn damage on the ground. With Claws of Thunder, it adds the charged bolts. With, Phoenix Strike, it adds the Blades of Ice. Chaos Ice Bolt, and so forth and so on. But with Blades of Ice, you don't necessarily need to use the third charge. And the reason is because the third charge is only adding a freezes effect to the ability. The freezes effect does not add additional damage. And in fact, it does not add additional chill duration either. The only thing that it does is it converts the chill into a freeze, which causes the monster to completely stop moving. To give you an idea, let me go ahead and just bring 2 charges up and use the ability. And as you can see, it's still applied in AoE damage. And then let me grab 3 charges, and you'll see that it does a larger effect, but only because it has the freezes target effect added in. Now, it does work extremely well as a defensive ability, though, and it's just simply because everything is nice and frozen. Adding in this ability into your repertoire is going to give you a very nice additional freeze, which is going to cause all the monsters to either A, be nice and chilled, or B, be frozen. Now, this does mean that the bodies will shatter, so this is also important. So if you're using the freezing effect of any kind, and the monster is killed during the freezing effect, they will shatter. So if you're looking to keep your bodies for whatever reason, maybe you are, subbed into Death Sentry, so you have some corpse explosions, this is not going to be the skill for you, because it's going to completely eliminate all those corpses and ruin your time. In fact, if you avoid using that third charge, there's a very good chance that you will have corpses left, because chilling effects don't guarantee the destruction of a corpse. As you can see, I still have a corpse, whereas freezing effects do guarantee the destruction of the corpse. As you can see, these monsters here that I froze, they have absolutely no corpse left. So it's not like you can't, customize the ability a little bit so that you're not demolishing every single corpse. It is something that you can control here. So making sure that you're using Blades of Ice as specifically you need to use it is going to be something that you're going to have to pay attention to and micromanage yourself. So if you want corpses don't use charge number 3. If you want survivability, then do use charge number 3, because charge number 3 is extremely good for that specific purpose, for survivability. Having a 20.8 second freeze duration is going to mean that that monster is stuck and not attacking you for, whatever given amount of time. Now, you can, of course, combine this with Phoenix Strike, and Phoenix Strike has a very nice Chaos Ice Bolt, which is added into it, and that is, of course, beefed up by Blades of Ice back and forth. Chaos Ice Bolt looks very similar to Frozen Orb in many regards. So if I go out here and utilize my Phoenix Strike, I'm going to have to build 3 charges, because, of course, it's the last charge on the list. And Chaos Ice Bolt... it's kind of hard to explain exactly how Chaos Ice Bolt looks. In fact, let me go somewhere like that doesn't have a bunch of trees. Let me go to Canyon of the Magi real quick. And so this is Chaos Ice Bolt right here. As you can see, it's kind of like a pseudo frozen orb that comes out from the monster, and goes out in a circle, kind of different completely than the way that Frozen Orb does. Frozen Orb doesn't have this same sort of thing going on. In fact, it's missing the central explosion that Frozen Orb has. So Frozen Orb, of course, has the iconic, what would you call it, like spinning ball of ice. And that spinning ball of ice explodes at the end of the effect. With Chaos Ice Bolt, it just simply comes out directly from the monster, and it goes outward from the monster until it reaches a pretty large radius. I think it's about like 13 yards, and it hits just about everything within that radius. Now, if you combine the two together, of course, if you combine your Ice Fist with your Phoenix Strike, it looks like this. And you get a pretty decent amount of damage coming out, because obviously you've got your 3 charges. Your ice damage is coming out and hitting everything within that radius. And then, of course, we also have the Blades of Ice, and then it gets followed up by the Claws of Thunder and the Fists of Fire, which is the Chain Lightning and the Meteor effects. Since it's the 3rd charge, you really don't have a choice, so you're going to have to burn through those. Now, if you wanted to burn just the Chaos Ice Bolt over and over and over again, you can. You can actually go to something like Dragonflight, and what you would do is you would just simply attack, click, attack, click, attack, click, attack, click, attack, click, and you would just keep building the Phoenix Strike up to the Ice Bolt over and over again to make sure that it doesn't leave the 3rd charge. Because when you burn a single charge, it doesn't matter what that charge is, you can immediately rebuild that charge back up to the 3rd charge. You just got to make sure that you're building it back up. Now, with these new beautiful freaking claws that allow you to basically just spam abilities over and over again, which are subject to change, by the way, you don't really have to worry about that anymore, because you can pretty much just do stuff like this, which is just absolutely glorious looking. And overall, when it comes to this particular ability, the Blades of Ice allows you to crowd control, and that's really, I think that's really what the Blades of Ice skill works for. Now, the really unfortunate thing is that when a monster is immune to cold, well, you can't use cold crowd control effects on them. But thanks to the Sunder Charms will change that. So if you put a Cold Sunder on your assassin, you can essentially chill and freeze anything, regardless of whether or not it is immune to you. The other interesting thing to remember when it comes to chilling effects as well as freezing effects is that the duration of the chilling and freezing effect actually increases and decreases with the monster's resistance to that element. So for instance, a monster that's 95% resistant to cold is going to have the smallest duration freeze and chill effects, whereas a monster that is, for instance, like negative resistance is going to have the longest chill duration effects. This is the reason why the Cold Sorceress has such high chilling effects, because she has the negative resistance from Cold Mastery, which causes the monsters to take chill effects for a longer duration. And if you were going to build a cold damage assassin, you probably would have some form of negative cold resistance as well on your character, whether it be, three-faceted helmet or four-faceted armor or something like that, or maybe you're using something like Nightwing's Veil with a facet in it. There's going to be some form of negative resistance, which is going to help you out a little bit. But it is important to note that the higher the monster's resistance to the element, the lower the duration of the crowd control effects are going to be. And that's pretty much it when it comes to Blades of Ice. Blades of Ice actually does not have a next hit delay, by the way. I didn't really feel like I needed to say it, but and then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? I guess I think I need to say it since Claws of Thunder does. So it doesn't really matter with Blades of Ice. You can actually hit the target as many times as you want within a given period of time. So attacking extremely quickly with something like Dragon Talon, which has 8 kicks, will allow you to kick, for instance, for 2,700 8 times within a really small time frame. Which can dish out some pretty amazing damage in that little small span of space. And these new Mosaic Claws are definitely going to be interesting when it comes to these builds. I think that's pretty much it when it comes to Blades of Ice. There's really not a lot more to go over. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we're just talking about a chilly, frosty skill like this one. And as always, keep watching.